Captain Jake Morrison walked into the huge room where the Galactic Council met. The room was so big that his footsteps echoed off the walls. All around him stood aliens from different worlds. Some looked like giant lizards. Others looked like floating jellyfish made of light. A few looked like walking trees with too many arms. Jake felt very small. He was the only human in the room. Every alien was much bigger than him. Some were twice as tall. Others were 3 times as wide. Their strange eyes all looked down at him as he walked to the center of the room. The human wore his best uniform. It was dark blue with shiny buttons. On his chest were medals he had earned in small battles near Earth. But here those medals meant nothing. Earth was new to the galaxy. Humans had only joined the Council last year. A loud voice filled the room. It came from Supreme Warlord Kethvar. He was from the Vorthak Empire. His skin looked like green metal. Sharp teeth filled his mouth. When he spoke, it sounded like rocks grinding together. "Listen to me, Council members," Kethvar said. His voice was so deep it made the floor shake. "The humans have something we want. They control a place called Vestan Reach. This place has special crystals. These crystals can power our biggest ships. We need those crystals." Jake's hands made fists. He knew this was coming. The Vorthak wanted to take human colonies. They had done this to other species before. They would attack. They would win. Then, they would take everything. "The humans are weak," Kethvar continued. "They have only been in space for a short time. Their ships are small, their weapons are simple, they cannot stop us. So we will take what we want." Other aliens in the room nodded. They agreed with the Vorthak. Jake looked around the room. He saw fear in many alien eyes. The Vorthak had conquered many worlds. Everyone was afraid of them. Ambassador Zaylin stepped forward. She was from the Astari race. Her body was made of pure energy. She glowed like a blue star. When she spoke, her voice was soft and musical. "The Vorthak speak the truth," she said sadly. "Humans are new to our galaxy. They do not have strong armies. Their technology is behind ours. If they fight the Vorthak, many humans will die. Perhaps it would be better if they just gave up now." More aliens agreed. The elephant-like Thurians made deep rumbling sounds. The insect-like Krixtal clicked their approval. Even the wise eternal minds who were just floating brains in glass cases blinked their lights in agreement. Jake felt anger growing inside him. These aliens thought humans were nothing. They thought humans would just give up without a fight. They did not understand humans at all. "Honored Council," Jake said. His voice was not as loud as the aliens, but it was clear and strong. "I speak for all humans. We will not give up Vestan Reach. We will defend our people." The room became very quiet. Then something happened that made Jake's face turn red. The aliens started laughing. It was not normal laughter. Each species laughed in their own way. The Thurians made sounds like trumpets. The Krixtal made clicking sounds. The Astari's glow got brighter. Kethvar laughed loudest of all. His laugh sounded like metal scraping against stone. "The little human thinks he can fight us," he said. "This will be fun. We have not had a good war in many years." Jake stood straight. He did not back down. "We will fight," he said again, "and we will win." This made the aliens laugh even harder. Some of them had to hold their sides. Others wiped tears from their strange eyes. To them, the idea of humans winning was the funniest thing they had ever heard. On Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter sat in a room deep under the ground. Around her were screens showing stars and planets. She had just received Jake's message. War was coming. With her were the best military people on Earth. General Rick Barnes was an old soldier with gray hair and scars on his face. Colonel Amy Sullivan was young but very smart about fighting. Commander Pete Johnson knew everything about spaceships and weapons. "They think we're weak," Amy said. She was looking at reports about the Vorthak army. Every species in the galaxy either got conquered by them or gave up without fighting. "Then they don't know humans," Rick said. His voice was hard like stone. "They don't know how we fight." Lisa pressed a red button on her desk. All across human space, alarms started ringing. On Earth, on Mars, on the moon bases, and on colonies far from home, humans got the message. War was coming. Ships started moving. Soldiers put on their armor. Weapons were loaded. Factories began making more guns and missiles. From the biggest cities to the smallest space stations, humans prepared for battle. The aliens thought humans would be easy to beat. They thought humans would cry and run away. They thought humans were soft and weak. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In space, human ships began moving toward Vestan Reach. These ships were not as big as alien ships. They were not as pretty, but they were built by humans, for humans. And humans had one thing no alien understood. Humans never gave up. The galaxy was about to learn what that meant. 3 weeks after the council meeting, the HFY War fleet arrived at Vestan Reach. Supreme Admiral Grixmore stood on the bridge of his huge ship. He was even bigger than most HFY. His scales were black instead of green. Scars covered his arms from many battles. "Look at this," he said to his officers. "The humans sent only 30 ships to fight us. We have 200 ships. This will be over before lunch." Grixmore had fought many wars. He had destroyed 17 different worlds. Each time was the same. The enemy would see his big fleet and surrender, or they would fight for a few minutes and then run away crying. But when his ships came out of hyperspace, something was different. The human ships did not run. They did not ask to surrender. Instead, they moved into fighting positions. Commander Ryan Phillips stood on the bridge of the human ship called Liberty. It was the biggest human ship in the battle, but it was still much smaller than the HFY ships. Behind him, Chief Engineer Kate Morgan worked on machines the aliens had never seen before. "Send a message to the HFY," Ryan said. "Tell them they can surrender now and we won't hurt them." His crew looked at him with surprise. They were outnumbered 6-1. The enemy ships were bigger and had more guns, but Ryan was serious. The message went out. The HFY response was quick. They started shooting. What happened next surprised everyone, including the humans. The human ships did not fight like other species. Other species lined up their big ships and shot at each other until one side lost. Humans did something completely different. Small human fighter ships came out of nowhere. They moved so fast the HFY computers could not track them. These little ships flew around the big HFY ships like angry bees around a bear. Lieutenant Commander Alex Thompson led one group of fighters. He flew his ship in ways that made no sense. He went straight at enemy guns, then turned at the last second. He flew so close to explosions that the heat burned his ship's paint. His pilots followed him, doing things that should have killed them. The HFY had never seen flying like this. Their own pilots were careful. They stayed far away from danger. They followed safe rules. Human pilots threw away the rules and flew like crazy people. But the real surprise came when the humans started using the asteroid field. Every species avoided asteroids. They were dangerous. Ships could crash into them. But humans saw them differently. Captain Danny Rodriguez commanded a human ship called the Defender. His ship grabbed asteroids with special tools. Then it threw them at HFY ships using powerful engines. The asteroids moved so fast they hit like giant bullets. "This is impossible," said one HFY officer. "They are using space rocks as weapons." "Shut up and keep fighting," Grixmore ordered. But he was worried. The humans were doing things no species had ever done before. The battle got stranger. When human ships got damaged, they did not retreat to get fixed. Instead, they kept fighting. One human ship lost its engines, so the crew aimed all their guns by hand and kept shooting. Another ship lost its computer. The pilot flew by looking out the window and guessing. Kate Morgan's voice came over the radio to all human ships. "Remember, if your ship is about to explode, try to take an enemy ship with you." This message made the HFY very afraid. No species had ever told their soldiers to blow up their own ships on purpose. But humans were different. The worst moment for the HFY came when Danny Rodriguez's ship got hit by 3 enemy missiles. His engines stopped working. His weapons were broken. His ship was falling toward a big HFY battleship. Any other species would have surrendered. They would have asked the enemy to save them. Danny did something else. All crew to escape pods. He said over his ship's speakers, "I'm going to ram the flagship." "Sir, that's suicide," said his second officer. "No," Danny said with a smile. "That's victory." Danny's ship crashed into the biggest Vorthak ship at full speed. The explosion was so bright it lit up the whole star system. Both ships were destroyed instantly. The other Vorthak ship stopped shooting. They could not believe what they had seen. The human had killed himself just to destroy one enemy ship. "Retreat," Grixmore ordered. "Retreat now." "But sir, we still have more ships than they do," his officer said. "Look around you," Grixmore said. His voice was shaking. "Half our fleet is gone. These humans fight like demons. They don't care if they die. Order all ships to retreat." The surviving Vorthak ships ran away as fast as they could. Behind them, the human ships did not chase. They stayed to help their damaged ships and rescue survivors. Ryan Phillips looked at the battlefield. Pieces of ships floated everywhere. Some were Vorthak, some were human, but they had won. "Send a message to Earth," he said. "Tell them we held Vestan reach." The message traveled across space to reach Admiral Lisa Carter. When she read it, she smiled for the first time in weeks. But she knew this was just the beginning. The Vorthak would be back with more ships. News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light. On every world, aliens watched the recorded footage with shock. They saw human ships do things that broke every rule of space combat. They saw humans sacrifice themselves to win. In the Galactic Council chambers, the same aliens who had laughed at Jake Morrison now sat in silence. Ambassador Xylin glowed dimmer than usual. The Thurians made no sound. Even the Eternal Minds had stopped blinking. "How did they do it?" asked Counselor VexHY. "Our computers said the humans would lose in 2 hours." "Our computers were wrong," said another alien. "Humans don't fight like we do. They fight like they're insane," finished a third alien. But they were wrong. Humans were not insane. They were just human. And being human meant never giving up no matter how bad things looked. The galaxy was starting to understand that humans were not like other species, and that made them very dangerous. News about the battle at Vestan Reach traveled to every corner of the galaxy. On 1,000 different worlds, aliens watched the footage over and over. They could not believe what they were seeing. In the Galactic Council building, emergency meetings happened every day. The same aliens who had laughed at humans now looked scared. They whispered to each other in their strange languages. Counselor VexHY from the Nexari race stood before a giant screen. The Nexari were known for being very smart. They built the best computers in the galaxy. Their machines could predict the future of any battle. "This makes no sense," VexHY said. His voice sounded confused and angry. "Our computers said the humans would lose in 2.3 hours. Instead, they won. How is this possible?" The screen showed footage from the battle. Alien military experts watched human ships do impossible things. They saw small fighters attack ships 100 times bigger. They saw damaged human ships keep fighting when they should have exploded. They saw humans ram their own ships into enemies. "Look at this part," said General Thokmar of the Krikstal. He pointed at the screen with one of his 6 arms. "The human ship has no engines, no weapons, but they still fight. They use manual controls. This is madness." "No," said a quiet voice. It came from Dr. Yulneth, a scientist from the peaceful Astari. "This is not madness. This is something we do not understand. Humans think differently than us." While the council argued, something else was happening across the galaxy. Species that had been conquered by the Vorthak were talking to each other in secret. For the first time in hundreds of years, they had hope. On the water world of Hydros, Prime, Captain Thelnara swam quickly through the crystal cities. Her people looked like sharks but with arms and legs. They breathed water instead of air. The Vorthak had taken 3 of their colonies. Her people had tried to fight but failed. "The humans did something we could not do," she said to her war council. "They beat the Vorthak in open battle. Maybe they can teach us how to fight." Admiral Troy Baker was now in charge of all human ships. He sat in his office on the space station above Earth. Every day, messages came from different alien species. They all wanted the same thing, to talk to humans about war. The first alien ship to arrive was from the Hydros Federation. Captain Thelnara came aboard the human station wearing a special suit filled with water. She could breathe through the water but still talk to humans. "We want to make a deal," she said through her translator machine. "We will give you ships and soldiers. In return, you teach us how to fight like humans." Troy looked at the shark-like alien. "What makes you think we need your help?" "Because the Vorthak will come back," Thelnara said. "And next time, they will bring many more ships. You won one battle, but the war is just starting." Colonel Jenny Martinez sat next to Troy. She was an expert in fighting tactics. "You fought the Vorthak before and lost. What makes you think fighting with us will be different?" Thelnara's answer was honest. "Because you humans fight like the universe owes you something. You do not give up when you should. You do not run when the enemy is stronger. You fight until you win or die trying." This was true, but Troy wanted to know more. "What do you know about human fighting?" "We studied the footage," Thelnara said. "Your pilots fly into explosions. Your ships fight even when they are broken. Your captain killed himself to destroy one enemy ship. No other species does these things." Far away in the dark center of Vorthak space, Supreme Overlord Krathvan was very angry. He was the biggest and strongest Vorthak who had ever lived. His empire controlled a quarter of the galaxy. No one had ever beaten his armies before. "How did this happen?" he roared at his generals. His voice was so loud it shook the walls of his war room. "We sent 200 ships. We lost almost all of them, to 30 human ships." General Vextor tried to explain. "The humans fight without honor. They crash their ships into ours. They use dead ships as weapons. They do not follow the rules of war." "Then we will show them what real war looks like," Krathvan decided. "Call together the Grand Armada, every ship, every soldier. We will bring 5,000 ships to destroy these humans." But someone was listening to this conversation. Commander Diane Foster was a human spy. She had special equipment that could hear alien communications from very far away. The moment Krathvan finished talking, she sent a message to Admiral Troy. Troy read the message and felt his stomach drop. 5,000 Vorthak ships. That was more than any species had ever faced at one time. Even with alien help, humans only had maybe 300 ships. "We need more time," Jenny said when she heard the news. "And we need more ships." "Then we better get building," Troy replied. Across human space, something amazing began to happen. Humans had always been good at making things. Now they used that skill to build ships faster than anyone thought possible. On Mars, the old mining machines were changed to build ship parts. On the Moon, new factories appeared every week. Even on Earth, people worked day and night to make weapons and equipment. But humans did more than just build ships. They also started talking to other species in new ways. They shared technology that no one had ever shared before. They taught aliens human tactics. They showed them how to think like humans. Captain Beth Williams was put in charge of the first mixed human-alien fighting group. Her ships included humans, Hydros, Astari, and even some rebels from the Thurian Empire. "Fighting with humans is different," she told her alien officers. "We do not follow normal rules. We take risks. We try things that seem impossible. Are you ready for that?" The aliens were scared but excited. For centuries they had fought the same way. Line up ships. Shoot until someone gives up. But humans offered something new. A chance to win. "What do you call your way of fighting?" asked Sub-Commander Paul Rex, a young Hydros officer. Beth smiled. "We call it overkill. It means using more force than you need just to be sure you win." While humans prepared, the galaxy watched and worried. Some species wanted humans to win. Others were afraid of what would happen if humans became too powerful. All of them knew that the next battle would change everything. The Vorthak had ruled through fear for 300 years. Now for the first time someone was not afraid of them, and that someone was human. The galaxy held its breath and waited to see what would happen when 5,000 Vorthak ships met the growing human fleet. No one knew who would win, but everyone knew the galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after the first battle, the galaxy watched in amazement as humans prepared for war. What they saw changed everything they thought they knew about the small species from Earth. Engineer Paul Henderson worked in the biggest factory on Mars. Around him, thousands of humans and alien workers built new weapons every day. But these were not normal weapons. They were human weapons. Strange, deadly, and completely unexpected. Take this Vorthak shield generator, Paul explained to a group of alien engineers. He held up a piece of enemy technology that his team had captured. The Vorthak make it heavy and put it only on big ships. We made it smaller and lighter. Now even our fighter ships have shields. The aliens looked confused. But smaller? Shields are weaker, said Engineer Kolveth from the Nexari race. Paul smiled. That's what everyone thinks, but we don't use one small shield. We use 50 small shields all working together. When one breaks, the others keep working. It's actually stronger than one big shield. This was how humans did everything. They took alien technology and changed it in ways no one expected. They made things smaller, faster, and more deadly. But most importantly, they made everything work together. Captain Beth Williams stood on the bridge of her new ship, the Freedom. Around her were officers from 5 different alien species. They had been training together for months, learning to fight like humans. Today we practice the swarm attack, she told them. Remember, we do not line up and shoot. We attack from all directions at once. We move fast. We never stop moving. Sub-Commander Polrex, the young Hydros officer, raised his hand. But Captain, what if we crash into each other? Then don't crash, Beth said simply. Human pilots do this all the time. You can learn it too. The practice battle began. Beth's mixed fleet attacked fake targets using human tactics. At first, the alien ships moved too slowly and carefully. But after many hours of practice, they began to understand. I see it now, said Lieutenant Yextara, an Astari pilot. We do not think about staying safe. We think about destroying the enemy. Exactly, Beth replied. Safe fighting is slow fighting. Slow fighting gets you killed. Far from the practice, battles. Admiral Noah Clarke prepared the largest human fleet in history. His ships filled the space around Earth like a metal cloud. But the real surprise was not the number of ships. It was what humans had built in just 6 months. Show me the numbers, Noah said to his assistant, Commander Sarah Kelly. We now have 800 combat ships, Sarah reported. That includes 200 human ships and 600 alien ships fighting with us. But that's not the best part. What's the best part? Noah asked. We're not going to wait for them to attack us, Sarah said with a smile. We're going to attack them first. This idea shocked the alien members of Noah's crew. No species had ever attacked the Vorthak in their own space. It was suicide. The Vorthak home systems had thousands of defense platforms and millions of soldiers. Sir, said Admiral Thelnara, who was now working with the human fleet. The Vorthak. Empire has natural defenses, asteroid fields, black holes, energy storms. It is impossible to attack them at home. Impossible for other species, Noah corrected. But we're humans. We don't believe in impossible. The plan was typically human, crazy, dangerous, and brilliant at the same time. While the Vorthak gathered their grand armada at a staging area, called Kepler 442, humans would attack that location. They would hit the enemy before the enemy was ready. General Kim Parker, Noah's chief strategist, explained the plan to the mixed fleet commanders. The Vorthak think they are safe at Kepler 442. They think we will wait for them to attack us, so they are not ready for battle yet. We will attack while they are still organizing. But they have 5,000 ships, protested Commander Zilmoth, from the Thurian rebels. Even if they are not ready, they still outnumber us 6-1. Numbers don't win wars, Kim replied. Fighting spirit wins wars, and humans have more fighting spirit than any species in the galaxy. To prove this point, humans did something that amazed their alien allies. They showed them the human industrial complex that had been built during the past 6 months. On the moon, factories that used to make civilian goods now made weapons. On Mars, mining equipment had been converted to build ship armor. Even on small space stations, humans worked day and night to produce ammunition and supplies. But the most impressive thing was how humans thought about war. Other species built ships to last a long time. Humans built ships to win battles. Other species tried to protect their soldiers. Humans trained their soldiers to win at any cost. Commander Luke Sanders led a squadron of human bomber pilots. His job was to train alien pilots in human bombing tactics. The aliens were shocked by what they learned. "We fly straight into the enemy formation," Luke explained. "We do not try to avoid their guns. We fly through their gunfire to reach our targets." "But many pilots will die," said wing leader Kethvol, a Krikstal pilot. "Yes," Luke agreed, "but the mission will succeed. Dead pilots who complete their mission are more valuable than living pilots who fail." This kind of thinking was hard for aliens to understand. They valued individual life highly. They tried to keep their soldiers safe. Humans valued the mission above everything else. Captain Grace Turner commanded an engineering ship filled with humans and aliens working together. Her job was to keep damaged ships fighting even when they should be destroyed. "When your engines fail, you use backup engines," she taught her alien crew. "When backup engines fail, you use emergency engines. When emergency engines fail, you push the ship with your hands if you have to." The aliens thought she was joking. Then they saw human engineers actually push a damaged ship using small rocket packs. The ship kept fighting. As the human fleet prepared to leave for Kepler 442, something unexpected happened. More alien species asked to join the fight. The peaceful Astari sent their fastest ships. The mysterious Eternal Minds offered their advanced computers. Even some Thurian military units rebelled against their own government to fight with humans. "Why are they joining us?" Noah asked his alien advisor, Captain Yilneth. "Because you give them something they have never had before," Yilneth replied. "Hope. For 300 years, the Vorthak have seemed unbeatable. You showed that they can be beaten. Now everyone wants to be part of that victory." The night before the fleet left for Kepler 442, Noah spoke to all his commanders through video link. Humans and aliens from across the galaxy listened to his words. "Tomorrow we attack the heart of the Vorthak Empire," he said. "They have more ships than us. They have bigger weapons, they have stronger defenses, but they do not have what we have." "What do we have that they don't?" asked a young human pilot. "We have each other," Noah replied. "Humans and aliens fighting together. Different species using different strengths. And most importantly, we have the human way of war. We never give up." The fleet launched the next morning. 800 ships of different shapes and sizes, all heading toward the most dangerous battle in galactic history. The crews were scared, but determined. They knew many of them would not come home. But they also knew something else. They were about to teach the Vorthak Empire what happened when you made humans angry. The galaxy watched the fleet disappear into hyperspace. Everyone waited to see if the humans could really do the impossible again. In the depths of space, the Vorthak Grand Armada waited at Kepler 442, completely unaware that death was coming for them at the speed of light. The attack on Kepler 442 lasted 18 hours. When it was over, the Vorthak Grand Armada no longer existed. 5,000 enemy ships had been reduced to floating scrap metal. The most powerful military force in galactic history was gone. Admiral Noah Clark stood on his damaged bridge and looked at the battlefield through the main screen. Pieces of ships floated everywhere like a metal graveyard. Some were Vorthak, some were human and alien allies. But they had won. "Send a message to all Vorthak worlds," Noah ordered. "Tell them their Grand Armada is destroyed. Tell them they can surrender now, or we will visit every one of their planets." The message went out across the galaxy. Within hours, something happened that no one had ever seen before. The Vorthak Empire began to surrender. 1 year after the first battle at Vestan Reach, Supreme Overlord Krathvan knelt before Admiral Noah Clark aboard the human flagship. The giant lizard who had once ruled a quarter of the galaxy now begged for mercy. "We surrender," Krathvan said in broken human language. "Please do not destroy our worlds. We will give you anything you want." Noah looked down at the alien who had caused so much suffering across the galaxy. "We don't want your worlds, we want peace. But if any Vorthak ship ever attacks anyone again, we will finish what we started." The surrender ceremony was broadcast to every world in the galaxy. Aliens who had lived in fear for 300 years watched their greatest enemy kneel before humans. Many cried tears of joy. Others simply could not believe what they were seeing. But the real change was not the defeat of the Vorthak. The real change was what happened to the galaxy afterward. In the Galactic Council chambers, which had been moved to human space for security reasons, the assembled aliens looked at their human colleagues with new eyes. Ambassador Jake Morrison, the same human they had laughed at a year ago, now led the council meetings. "The Vorthak Empire is finished," Jake announced to the council. "Their remaining worlds are now under galactic protection. Any species that wants revenge against them must go through us first." This statement created silence in the room. The humans were not just protecting themselves anymore. They were protecting everyone, including their former enemies. Counselor Jethmak of the Crystalline Collective raised a question that many aliens were thinking. What if we disagree with human decisions? What if we do not want human protection? Jake's answer was simple and terrifying. Then you are free to leave the council and defend yourselves. But remember, humans destroyed the Vorthak Empire in Emer 1 year. We can destroy anyone else just as easily. No one challenged this statement. Everyone had seen what humans could do when they decided to fight. Admiral Lisa Carter, now Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces, gave a speech that would be remembered for centuries. She spoke to representatives from 1,000 different worlds. "Humans do not want to rule the galaxy," she said. "We want to protect it. We want all species to live in peace. But let everyone understand, we will never again allow any species to terrorize others the way the Vorthak did." "And if someone tries?" asked an alien reporter. Lisa's smile was not friendly. "Then they will learn why the Vorthak no longer exist." The changes went deeper than just military power. Humans began sharing their technology and tactics with other species. They taught aliens how to fight, how to build better ships, and how to work together. Captain Beth Williams, now in charge of the Galactic Defense Academy, trained officers from hundreds of different worlds. They learned human military tactics, but they also learned human values. Fighting is not about being the strongest, she taught her students. Fighting is about never giving up. It is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. It is about doing what is right, even when it is hard. The galaxy's economy changed too. Species that had been conquered by the Vorthak were free to trade again. Worlds that had been forced to pay tribute could keep their resources. The fear that had controlled galactic politics for centuries was gone. But some aliens were afraid of humans themselves. They whispered that humans were too powerful, too dangerous. They worried about what would happen if humans ever became their enemies. These fears reached Jake Morrison's ears during a private council meeting. The Astari. Ambassador Xylin spoke for many species when she expressed her concerns. "We are grateful for human protection," she said carefully. "But we must ask, what guarantees do we have that humans will not become like the Vorthak? What stops you from conquering us?" Jake thought about this question for a long time before answering. "The same thing that made us fight the Vorthak in the first place. Humans believe that everyone deserves to be free. We fought the Vorthak because they took away freedom. If we ever did the same thing, we would be fighting against everything we believe in. But power corrupts," Xylin insisted. "History shows that strong species eventually dominate weak ones." "Then you don't understand humans very well," Jake replied. "We are not strong because we want to dominate others. We are strong because we want to protect others. Take away the need to protect, and we would rather go home and tend our gardens." This was true. Across human space, millions of soldiers were returning to peaceful jobs. Weapons factories were being converted back to civilian use. Humans were doing what no conquering species had ever done. They were reducing their military power after winning a war. Years passed. Children who had been born during the war grew up in a galaxy where the Vorthek Empire was just a scary story from history books. They learned about the time when evil aliens ruled through fear and how humans had stopped them. In schools across the galaxy, young aliens studied what was now called the human standard. They learned that strength was not about having the biggest weapons. It was about having the courage to use those weapons to protect others. The Vorthak themselves changed too. Their remaining worlds became peaceful trading partners. Former Vorthak soldiers worked alongside humans to keep the galaxy safe. Some even joined human crews and learned human values. Commander Vextor, who had once been a Vorthak general, now served under Admiral Troy Baker. When asked why he chose to work with his former enemies, his answer surprised many. Humans showed me something I had never seen before, he said. They showed me that strength is not about making others fear you. It is about making others trust you. I want to learn how to be strong like that. The galaxy had peace, but it was not a weak peace. Human fleets patrolled the space lanes, watching for pirates and terrorists. Human bases were established near important trade routes. Human teachers spread the message that freedom was worth fighting for. But the most important change was in how species thought about each other. Before the human victory, the galaxy was divided between the strong and the weak. The strong took what they wanted. The weak suffered in silence. After the humans changed everything, the galaxy was divided differently. It was divided between those who protected others and those who needed protection. And everyone knew which side the humans were on. Decades later, when historians studied this period, they called it the end of the Age of Fear and the beginning of the Age of Hope. They said that humans had not just won a war. They had changed the very nature of galactic civilization. But humans themselves had a simpler way of describing what had happened. They said they had done what humans always did. When faced with bullies, they had stood up and fought back, and the galaxy had never been the same.